Okay. New England Railways here. I just played it after screwing up the rolls there. Yeah, I got a few things wrong. Corrected in mid-play. And to some extent you could say, well, that makes this all invalid. And yeah, but I don't think terribly more invalid than most of my reviews of newer games to me, like anything after 1995. There is not going to be a lot that I've played enough to have any real deep insight into. But with this, I can tell you a little about my feelings on it, which seems to maybe capture the whole winsome experience, because in a sense this is a winsome game. But before I go into that, let's take a look at the components, because I think they're a real issue with this one. Eagle Games Edition came out from, moving it, I think it moved location. I think it was originally supposed to be in England, and changed some of the design layout. This is really problematic. The board, first of all, is kind of confusing. It's hard to tell what's where, what you're delivering. The big trains don't help much there, but the little cubes in the locations. I found it hard to map the pathways out. Some people are even more upset, although I'm not terribly bothered by it, by the size of the trains on the scoring track here for the income. Overall, they spent a lot more money producing kind of high-end components, but without any real design effort towards them. And it would be kind of interesting to see. I'm curious who did the design work for this. Graphics, Sean Brown. I'm not going to know these people. But, yeah, that would definitely kind of push me away. It's kind of funny because Age of Steam also was the Eagle treatment. And that came out pretty decent, I think, in terms of the components and how it all worked together. This little first player thing's kind of cool. Gives you the sequence of play. And in a sense, this really is all you need to play the game. The problem, obviously you do need to read the rules, something that I showed very clearly there. But this is pretty much most of them. Just seeing the sequence of play, it's detailed enough. It usually isn't in most games. Most games will break this into 4 things. It would have like a, loans phase, and then, I don't know, a futures phase. I have no idea. But this actually spells out pretty much every step that you need in the game, and if that's not enough to remind you, it's a problem. Now, for me, it was not quite enough because Discover Growth, I forgot, when I was playing, I was only playing in 2 the time before, so it might be different, and I didn't look that up until halfway through the game. One of the kind of problems with, not learning a game right on camera, but having learned it before, but not played it much in enough different variances. But I do think I got some feel for how much I dislike the game, what I like and dislike about it, as I made it through Solitaire. And I kind of enjoyed it 2-player as well. I probably rated it a little higher. I'm probably going to drop my rating a little bit. I rated it a 7. I think it deserves a 6, actually. But I think the problem may be one which runs across the whole damn winsome line for me. This whole design. So, I'm willing to be excited about many, many 18XX games. Each one feels so significantly different. Not just, there's some cute little mechanism in place that I can take advantage of. That's what these are. These have different designs. Everyone's this tiny little, not even tiny. Some of them are significantly different from each other in a way that 18XX games are not. But none of them really seem to tell the same kind of rich story the XX games do. None of them are as intuitive. In XX, hey, it's my turn, I buy a share, it's my turn, I buy a share, I sell some shares, whatever. That's all very well locked into reality. And then the running of the trains, although that's going to be obviously be an abstraction of some sort, it affects the income, it does this, that, and the other, and it all fits together, and then whatever is added to the games is a rich new piece, okay? Now, obviously, if you go to some of the early ones, and a few that are derived off of the 1829 model or 25 or whatever it is. I'm used to 29, so I don't know what the proper term is anymore. But if you follow the ones that are that pattern and then look at the 1830 model with its two-dimensional stock market, yeah, there's a significant difference there, a really big difference. But the rest of the game is more or less the same. And so you've got kind of these two big schools of 18xx games, and one that clearly has done better, as well as pleasing me more. But with the Winsome ones, every one is sort of this stripped-down game that no longer has a story, really. And this one may be the worst of the lot for that I've seen, just because there's no stocks, although stocks are often exchanged in a way that doesn't really click for me in these games. I'm not often, just paying money. I'm not playing with a market. I'm not doing anything like that in most of these Winsome games. Although sometimes I am seeing the stock price changing. There's no guaranteed track continuity. I'm just buying, I want some track there, I want some track there. Even Silverton forces a strong, which is neither type of system, but it forces a much stronger continuity on the track, even though I can build track kind of like this. Hey, I want this piece, I want this piece, this portion of already drawn track. This one, I don't even know what to say about it. I mean, it's like there's no story at all for me. Is that unrealistic? No. I mean, and it's possible for companies to buy little unconnected segments of track, I guess. You could say, well, they're getting merged at some point, or I don't know. But it just felt way too abstract to me that I walk away feeling kind of like, gee, there's an interesting game here. But I think I'd rather play cards. In 2, I prefer this, but if I had 4 people, I think I'd rather play a card game than this. This is too much effort, too much searching on the map, which of course is partially because of the graphical design. There was something else, something less negative, which is that if you look at what I did with the cubes accidentally, drawing less, I think there's a lot of room for modding this game, playing around with how the cubes come out, maybe playing around with how the track comes out, just tweaking those values, and that's not going to necessarily hurt the game much. Now, I heard one person wanted to give a modification to the first turn, give everybody a track play. Well, one person's going to get a track purchase for $1 then, or whatever. That's a little unreasonable. Basically, I think it's fine the way it is to kind of screw that first player over and not the first person who misses a track. Of course, by missing a track first, one, you have more cash than anyone else, so you get the track of your choice in the second play. But also, you do get to boost your income a little bit and get a little bit additional there. Well, no, you don't, because delivering doesn't help you at all. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a penalty not to buy that first rail, but I think being able to buy the last rail for $1 is too much of an advantage by far, comparatively. So I don't know what a fair solution would be, but I don't think that just putting a 6th rail out there is. I kind of don't like the you can only buy one rail connection. I don't like the way they line up and come out in order. It's interesting. It's the kind of thing that the Winsome games as a line sort of generate, which is this oh, we got to come up with a totally new way to sell a different one. Because there isn't enough of anything else here. All this is about the gameplay, about the strategies of how to cope with this particular design, and none of it has to do with, yeah, we're really modeling something new. I was kind of excited when I first hit Pampas Railroads because my thought was, okay, we've got a base design here. And then when I looked at Chicago Express and Age of Steam, nice components. I think maybe I liked them less. But the more of these I look at, even though they're more different than 18xx games, the more the same they feel because they have no story. And that's just me. I'm sure there are people who prefer them. They're certainly shorter, much simpler rules in general. Probably harder thinking from my point of view, which of course isn't a positive for me, but for a lot of people it will be. Anyway, this one in terms of gameplay, hey, I can't judge that. Gameplay isn't that important to me in the end. And this doesn't seem to have too many really dicky aspects, which is important to me. It's the only kind of gameplay thing that I have. Except, oh hey, I can move your cube and take it from you. So you want to get that kind of priority on the shipping options. But I don't know how big a part of the game that is. I think a bigger part is setting up one of those central rail lines that's going to be useful for upping your income many, many times over the game. And that comes down to just the auction, which isn't particularly a dicky feature. Alright, anyway. Up this goes in its limited and damaged form. I doubt that I'm going to redo this, even though I can't say I'm too proud of having gotten the rules so wrong.